Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Caudry. Thank you, Ray. High golf handicap, huh? Yeah, I think we've seen Ray's game too. I'm trying to think when the last time it was that anyone won a debate with Pab, but that's another sidebar. So I have the con position, essentially that the pharma industry has been successful in creating adequate workplace diversity over the last couple of decades. And if we go back over the last 20 or 25 years when I was a young product manager and Ray was just a assistant commissioner at PAB, I think the personnel makeup of companies in Canada and the pharma industry was predominantly white, Anglo-Saxon, male, Protestant or Catholic, straight, but however, much has really changed in the last 25 years in terms of diversity and in our hiring and our promotion practices. Now, pharma is a knowledge-based industry, and we always have prided ourselves on hiring and promoting the best and the brightest on the basis of merit, not on the basis of diversity issues. But under the protection and guidance of both federal and provincial human rights codes, much progress has been made over the last 2 decades. Most pharma and biotech companies today have properly realized that the concept of diversity strengthens their organizations, improves the decision making, and better serves the needs of a diverse array of customers. These organizations have gone even further to enshrine diversity in their corporate values, encouraging and respecting differences. Now, if we turn and we look at the progress made by the visible minorities, I think the conclusions are clear. First of all, women. Women make up over 50% of new Salesforce hires in Canada. Companies such as Johnson & Johnson and Allergan have women's management forums that meet regularly to discuss issues around women in their organizations. We have at least 4 company presidents in Canadian RX&D who are women. Linda Jo at Shearing, Deborah Brown at EMD Serono, Dawn Graham at Merck Frost, as Ray mentioned, and Susan Mahoney at Lilly. And obviously, as Ray mentioned, on my side of the argument, Dawn Graham is the first chairperson of the RX&D Board of Directors. So even as women move into management roles, more and more senior management roles will be filled by women. So I would argue that women are at the leading edge of change towards diversity, and that change is happening. Secondly, people of color. Industry hiring and promotion practices in the Canadian biopharma industry closely align with Canadian ethnic groupings. There are many VPs and directors that we can all think of who are first or second generation immigrants from outside of North America and Europe. Even today at the first working group, we had an example here on stage. Religious beliefs. The personal makeup of the industry, again, closely matches Canadian religious demographics. Again, we can all agree that we've worked with many different people from different religions and different creeds. Sexual orientation. Industry HR practices, such as the extension of benefits to same-sex couples, are becoming much more commonplace in Canadian pharma companies, and they in fact lead or at least keep pace with other industries. The physically challenged. Industry hiring practices closely, again, match Canadian population, and many companies have made changes to their accessibility to their offices to accommodate the differently abled. Finally, age. I would agree that this is one area where I think more can be done. Beyond a few presidents and VPs in Canadian pharma, it's pretty rare to find people who are over the age of 50 or so who work at Canadian companies. And I think as we look to the future, that will be a critical role and a critical area for companies to make gains in. You know, a quick look at the People on the Move section of the Canadian Pharma Marketing Journal illustrates that diversity is not just a concept, but it is very much a reality in our industry. A further example, Bayer Corporation has been named one of Diversity Inc.'s top 10 companies for global diversity. a select list of companies with strong commitments to creating a diverse and inclusive global culture. So already one of the pharma companies is being included as one of the top 10 global corporations in terms of respecting diversity. So in conclusion, I would argue that these examples demonstrate that much progress has been made in hiring and promoting visible minorities in Canadian pharma towards the idea of diversity. Maybe it's not a revolution, but it is very much a Canadian-style evolution, and the industry is better for it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm not disagreeing with Rob that there's been progress made, and I think I said that in my remarks. The proposition is it adequate? Okay, and with people screaming at conferences recently, and you know, minorities and people with disabilities, etc., still saying, "Listen to us." There's still work to be done. The proposition is it adequate? It's far from adequate. You know, we should make diversity a strategic priority. I believe some companies have done that. But implement career development systems that are formal and transparent, and develop a robust accountability framework around diversity. Don't hire the Chinese guy to work in Chinatown in Toronto, or a Sikh to work in Brampton, you know, because they're one of them. That's happened, and I think we can get away from that. We can provide support mechanisms, including providing mentors, role models, networking opportunities, high-profile assignments, and actions that balance sensitivity to other cultures. On a personal note, I have two uncles who had to change their name to get a job with city government, one in Toronto and one in Thunder Bay, Fort William at the time. Things change. That was 60 years ago, and today's society has learned to accept Ukrainians. Okay. Probably because of the pierogies, okay? And there's something to like about everybody. So proposition is, you know, we've made progress, but it's far from adequate, and I think we still have some work to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Godry. Right, rebuttal. So I will go back to Ray's earlier remarks about is it adequate, and do we have mentors? I think I pointed out in my remarks we do have mentors. We have 4 RX&D company presidents who are women, and we have many vice presidents and directors from visible ethnic minorities that do serve as mentors and as guideposts for us as we go forward. Things have changed a lot over the last 20 years, and I think they do really mirror Canadian ethnic, sexual orientation, religious groupings, etc. I would only go back and talk again about the ageist idea, I suppose. Finally, you know, as you said, things do change, and I think they are changing towards the better. I think we do have mentors, and I think diversity, the trend towards diversity is very adequate today in Canadian pharma. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rob, and we'll now go for the final vote, and hopefully we'll be able to decipher who actually won the debate. But as you've seen, resolved, this House believes that despite making concerted efforts during the past decade, the pharma industry has failed at creating adequate workplace diversity. Please vote now. Now that, to my mind, looks like our affirmative speaker swayed the audience. I'm not sure if that's a correct interpretation, but so as Rob quite well predicted, PAB triumphs yet again.